Spoon. I'm sorry, folks. We are alive, and Mark and I were having an inappropriate conversation.
I'm Little Spoon.
You're the Little Spoon. I'm on top today. Yes.
I like neutral. Like in wrestling, there's top, bottom, and neutral. Neutral is side to side. That's like a spoon. It's like a spoon position. We've all attempted that in the spoon. The spoon is like a starting position for wrestling. You're just waiting on a way to make your move, you know?
Yeah.
Except
it's a starting position for a lot of stuff.
I like it. Oh my God, where'd he go? Wait, why are you on the right now? I'm so confused. Now you're right wing.
Right wing.
Where'd you go?
Hang on a second.
We've had technical.
I don't know what happened.
Call the IT department.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I might have bumped it or something like that. Who knows?
Well, you looked great. It's a great placeholder for you.
It's just like me, like sticking my chest out, sticking my titties out like Callie. But
it's very flattering. It's extremely flattering. Oh no, not a dude. My wife. So I did the live last night after my daughter's soccer game, and she walks by and she gives me a look through my office. You see my office? She can look in here. She give me that look right now, actually, and she's like, "Callie Muscle again?" I'm like, "He just won't shut the fuck up, man." Every time I try to back away, Chris Jones will send me like, "Yo, this is gonna be fun." I'm like, "Let's go, Chris."
Like the dude says that anybody that mentions another man's, any man that mentions another man's name in a video is gay, and then he won't stop mentioning your and Chris's name. It's very strange.
We just heard they say sound is really bad. I'm hearing you just fine.
You're hearing me just fine? I don't know. Let me check.
Yeah. Is my sound okay? Which one of us sounds bad, or is it everything?
I think you fucking sound awesome.
Oh, well, I got this great microphone here, man. I've stepped up my game.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, now it says the sound is better now. Good. I think it was. I think you were just sitting far back.
Yeah, I just moved it up here a little bit, so I'm actually got the mic. I got the mic right up to my face now.
Now we had visual and audio problems. We're starting out great today.
We're fucking killing it, man.
Yeah, dude.
But no, I have no idea. I have no idea like why. I have no idea why he mentions you guys all the time. Like
he knows he's going to get destroyed. Dude, Mac Trucks is kind of funny because he plays this whole passive aggressive. And Mac is like, I mean, I don't know if you know about it. Like he's a legit gangster. Like he's not a studio gangster. Like Mac is a guy who has literally, I'm not going to say what he's done or how he's done it. He's a legit gangster. And like, so you can't pull that like YouTube gangster shit on Mac. Like, cause he knows what it's like in real gangs.
Yeah.
And it's just the funniest shit.
That makes you savage all on your own.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, he's the nicest guy ever. I mean, Mac's my boy. I love that guy. But yeah, it's really funny in that like if you're in a glass house, you shouldn't throw stones. And dude, Callie's in like a house of cards. Like his supplements are such trash that all I have to do is just show his label. And it's a diss. Like I'm literally like dissing him just by showing how bad his supplements are. And he doesn't make them. So whoever he hired to white label those things, they're just so bad at what they do. And I'm so good at what I do that it's just really, for me, it's just fun. Like it's like recreation. Yeah. It's like surfing porn. It's amazing. Right. It's fun.
It's a very interesting analogy, but I also find it like, when your breakdown of the label, I have no idea like how he's not in trouble. Like,
well,
you're not listing off half of what's in a scoop of something. Like,
well, here's the thing.
For what you've taught me, that's not a possibility. You know?
Well, I mean, you did kind of. I was like, is the label approved? I'm like, I'm still going through legal. We've gone through 10 revisions on the original No Morbidity just to get the claims and everything right, the white paper, all that good stuff. And then afterwards, you got testing going in, testing coming out. I guarantee you, and I could be wrong, but I'm not. Most likely is that they're not doing that. It's a low end operation, and the fact that he was able to see. Here's the thing. Remember how long it took to come out with No Morbidity and with Alchemy took months, if not over a year for No Morbidity. Yeah. So by the time you get the ingredients in, qualify them, quantify them, test them, get everything done, run it through legal, print labels, you're looking at 6 months minimum. The fact that he did all of this in like a week either shows that it was an existing product that he simply slapped his label on, or that it followed none of the procedures to legally and rightfully, and as it should be. I think I'm anti-government, pro-regulation. Let me explain. I do think that diet. I've dealt with the FDA for over 20 years, and I actually really enjoy dealing with them because at the end of the day, they just want to do their jobs. With the people I've dealt with at the FDA, they actually really want to protect consumers. And at least the people I've dealt with, you might have a different experience. So like a person named Bailey was someone I worked with before, and they're just like, look, man, we want to make sure you follow the rules, want to make sure we keep Americans safe. And I'm like, good. So when you don't have oversight, you get things like SARMs and, Blackstone Labs back in the day, literally causing liver failure and kidney failure, putting adulterants on the market. So we need oversight. I know that sounds antithesis of what libertarians do, but like if we have it, everybody should follow it.
Yeah. So I don't know why my camera's still out again. Give me a second.
But at least
me?
Sounds good. I hear you great. Your microphone's killing.
I have no idea what the fuck is wrong with my camera. So give me a second.
Yeah, no problem. I'll just talk about whatever. So what we're going to go over today, guys, is diabetes. And we're going over what the ADA, the American Diabetes Association, is recommending for people and also all the ramifications of diabetes. I'd like to also talk about diet. Like what should people with diabetes, again, we're not doctors, go check with your doctor. Again, everything the CDC and WHO says is fact and biblical in its statement. It's all true. But we're going to go over our opinion on how people with diabetes should eat. On the recommendations we have, how we deal with people with diabetes and everything involved in that. So diabetes is, and we're going to talk mainly 100% basically about type 2 diabetes. So type 1 diabetes is something that literally you can't really prevent. You're born with it. It's a genetic disease like cystic fibrosis, like sickle cell, other diseases that are genetic. They are something you cannot prevent. So you have to literally live your life controlling and living with type 1 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is, again, it's something that you could be more genetically predisposed to, but by and large, the reason we're seeing such an uptick in type 2 diabetes is due to our lifestyle and not our genetics. Most of it, I don't have the exact percentage, but I think it's over 90% last time I looked. I don't correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, is that type 2 diabetes is caused by lifestyle choices. It's caused by lack of exercise, poor food choices, insulin resistance. What causes insulin resistance a lot is eating the wrong foods, spiking insulin too often, not being as active as you should be. And that causes something called metabolic syndrome, AKA Syndrome X. Syndrome X is essentially your body's inability to handle and process carbohydrate. So as your body goes through this, you have these upheavals, these upticks, these irregularities in your blood sugar and your insulin. So your insulin's constantly spiking. It's in a bad spot, and your body can't deal with that. So that really puts a lot of stress on your pancreas. Your pancreas ends up, with lack of a better term, shit in the bed. And bada boom, bada bing, you end up with type 2 diabetes. Now, the thing is with type 2 diabetes, I have seen this firsthand. You are not only able to treat it in a way where it won't affect you, but I have seen it cured. I've seen it actually, people come in with diabetes and come out without diabetes. So type 2 diabetes is a treatable, curable, and a preventable disease. Type 1 diabetes, you're fucked. You have to live with it. Type 2 diabetes, which is most of diabetes in our country, is absolutely 100% treatable, preventable, and in many cases, curable. So we're going to go over today is what the American Diabetes Association is saying, and also go over our opinion on how you should deal with it. Again, we're not doctors. Please consult with your doctor. And Alan, how did I do on killing time?
Dude, you did amazing. Absolutely amazing. I had to switch browsers. Google doesn't like StreamYard for some reason right now. That's
racist.
It's racist. It is absolutely, because everything's racist, So this is my thing. I've dedicated my life to helping people with reverse their obesity. And a lot of times with obesity comes type 2 diabetes, heart disease, liver disease, kidney dysfunction, so many things. And I've said it many, many times the wave of type 2 diabetes that's coming, we've got something about 96 to 110 million people that are pre-diabetic right now, right? The people that the diabetes industry is not trying to put themselves out of business. Okay.
Yeah.
They are going to very much want you to be diabetic and use their treatment. It's just common sense, right? So my wife sent me this earlier. I believe she sent me this earlier, or somebody sent it to me.
And then you sent it to me, and I'm like, dude, I'd love to address this.
This is crazy because this is directly from the American with Diabetes Association, the ADA,
my goodness,
which are so many things from the ADA, right? But can people with diabetes drink beer?
No, no, you shouldn't.
Just to put it on out there, I really don't think you should be. I just see it as like this very negative thing that you're going to do with your life. Like, I find it horrible that we have people that will drink alcohol and eat tons of processed carbohydrates and then inject insulin. It's so next level, like self-harm that's just societally accepted. I don't even understand how we've gotten here to a great degree, but we have normalized, just like the problem with normalizing obesity, we have normalized type 2 diabetes as if people think like it's no big deal. Like, oh, they got the diabetes. Like, what can we do? Like
the Betis.
Yeah, the Betis. They got the Betis. Eventually that comes with like very serious problems. Like, you are not going to be a healthy diabetic. Like, it's by just definition, you are unhealthy because you have diabetes.
Yep.
So would it not behoove you to do your very best to watch everything you do? And 90% of all type 2 diabetes, according to the CDC, 90% of all type 2 diabetes is reversible or avoidable by lifestyle change.
Really? The CDC says that?
Yeah, yes.
Wow. As usual, the CDC is correct, Alan. They're always correct.
Yes, they are correct. I love using their information. I love using the CDC information because you can't argue it. The problem is the CDC has a ton of information there, but they misrepresent it oftentimes through their spokespeople. But if you would take a look at the actual data shows something that they're like very different than what they say. But listen to this is an RD, okay? And just so everybody understands, there's been a ton of RDs that have been paid by ultra-processed food companies recently that did not release that they were being paid by ultra-processed food companies to, in fact, propagate and promote ultra-processed foods.
Yeah. And
beer is definitely an ultra-processed food, right? But this says with football season in full swing, it's also tailgating season, and that means food and beers with friends. But is it okay to drink beer if you have diabetes? I'm just going to say no. How much is too much? How many carbs are typically in beer? I'm literally just going to say no. Like I understand that everybody's like, well, they can't live a little. They've lived enough. Like they've partied up enough in some way or another to give themselves type 2 diabetes. And if they haven't, if they're one of the very few people that get type 2 diabetes as just through no fault of their own, they have either some sort of illness that causes some sort of pancreatic disorder or something like that. You know, and type 1 diabetes, completely different, you know, but if you're type 1 diabetic, I would still suggest you not drink alcohol. Like, I've got nothing against alcohol. Before the pandemic, I was a 6 to 8 beer a week drinker, no matter what, right? I don't anymore because I focused way more on my health, and it is an actual fucking poison.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is an absolute poison. So, how many carbs are typically in beer? I love how they're talking about carbs and diabetes because they pretend that there's not a link, but there is, right? And then, is it safe to drink with diabetes? People with diabetes do not need to cut alcohol on their diet. This is the American Diabetes Association telling you that you don't need to cut alcohol out of your diet. As a matter of fact, many studies have suggested that light drinking, no more than 1 or 2 drinks a day, may be beneficial to diabetes.
You're out of your mind. It's not alcohol is not beneficial to anything. That is the cherry picking of old cherry picking of cherry picking. That is the most reprehensibly stupid comment I've heard in the past 2 minutes because we're in 2023. There's a stupid comment every day, every 2 minutes. But I mean, goodness gracious, guys, there is no benefit to drinking alcohol other than it makes girls look better.
I do find it funny that they're quoting a study from China as if China wouldn't want us to be sickly. Why is the American with Diabetes Association quoting a study from China? It's just very weird to me.
It is odd, isn't it?
Yeah. However, there are some important safety considerations for people with diabetes. Alcohol competes with your liver's ability to make glucose when your blood sugar is low. If you are on insulin and other anti-hyperglycemic medications, this can lead to a dangerously low blood sugar up to 24 hours after you stop drinking. Alcohol can also cloud your judgment, so you may not realize that your blood sugar is low. Why are we suggesting this to people? Because that's all true. So why are we suggesting that to people? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. You can't, like, if the person's obese and you drink alcohol, no fat loss in the next, 36 to 48 hours. Like, because it's a poison. Your body's like, what the fuck? Your liver's too busy dealing with the ethanol than dealing with blood sugar, To prevent hypoglycemia, don't drink on an empty stomach. Make sure you have food handy while you are drinking. Yes.
Make sure you binge. Make sure you binge while you drink.
Yeah, lower your inhibitions and then be around a bunch of like football party food. What could go fucking wrong, right? Like, how much is too much, Mark?
Honestly, the recent data, Huberman actually, Huberman gets out of his lane a lot. Like, he's the laughing stock of the actual muscle scientist community, like the actual, like the ISSN. Everybody thinks he's hilarious because he's a nerd. He's a fucking eye doctor. He's an eye expert. And he's like the expert on growing muscle and everything else all of a sudden. He actually had a good podcast, a phenomenal podcast on alcohol. I believe he had a guest on, and he completely shit on it. There is no good amount of alcohol. There just isn't. Alcohol destroys you. It destroys your metabolism. Also, being fat is the number one thing you don't want with diabetes. And alcohol not only stops you from burning fat and adds calories while you drink it, it does it for hours afterwards. So it doesn't just halt. It doesn't just add calories. It literally halts your body's ability to burn fat.
It's amazing. And again, I'm going to remind everybody that what we're reading comes from the American Diabetes Association. They're literally talking, they're going to walk people through here how they could have diabetes and still drink alcohol. Because as a newsflash, then you're going to be taking their medications. But alcohol consumption recommendations are the same for people with diabetes as the rest of the population. Because apparently there's no differentiation between somebody with type 2 diabetes and a healthy person.
Yeah.
No more than 1 drink a day for women and up to 2 drinks a day for men. 2 drinks a fucking day. So we're talking 14 beers in a fucking week. Like,
2 drinks, 14 beers. That's like, hey, it's okay to smoke 2 cigarettes a day. Yeah. Like that, the accumulation effect is insane too. Like, that's a constant barrage on your liver and your kidneys and your body and your organs. I mean, 2 beers a day is a lot. That's about 400 to 500 calories, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, many
beer, 14 beers is something like 1,600 calories.
Oh, your audio just wigged out a little bit, Alan.
Can you hear me now?
It's just vibrating.
Huh. But I don't know if it's my internet or what's going on today. My bad, guys. Can you hear me now?
It's all good. Yeah, but it's still doing the vibrations.
Vibrate. Sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of cool actually. It's got a little like Avengers type theme, like Optimus Prime.
Love the Avengers.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody else will love the vibrations, but I like it. I personally love it.
How about now?
Still there.
How about now?
Oh, it's good.
Okay. All right. Good.
It's perfect. That's good. So not only are you doing all those, so 12 beers a week. The ADA is really going with, this is on their website.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's insane.
Now, they do say that binge drinking or drinking more than 4 drinks for women and 5 drinks for men within 2 hours is strongly discouraged for health and safety reasons. Jesus. If you are at a sporting event and plan to drink over several hours, pace yourself and don't overindulge. A good rule of thumb is to have no more than 1 drink per hour and no more than 3 for women or 4 for men. Drinks a day. I love how they keep raising it per day. And remember to drink plenty of water to stay hydrated. When it comes to beer, 1 drink is 12 ounces, one can or bottle of beer. But remember, some cans and bottles have more than 12 ounces. This is literally a tutorial on how to drink beer by the American Diabetes Association. If you are pregnant, Yeah, 40 malt liquors. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If you're pregnant or underage, you should not drink any alcohol. Talk to your doctor. So don't drink alcohol, but get the jab if you're pregnant. So
Yeah.
says the FDA.
And they're right.
They're 100% right. What could go wrong?
Nothing.
Beer is typically higher in carbs than other alcoholic beverages like wine or liquor, but the carb content of beer can vary widely. Blah, 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 blah. Bottom line, modern alcohol consumption, no more than 1 or 2 drinks per day, is perfectly safe for most people with diabetes. So they're making a medical diagnosis via an article. They're giving medical advice via an article.
Oh my God.
To avoid hypoglycemia, don't drink on an empty stomach and check your blood sugar often and while drinking and up to 24 hours after you stop drinking, or just don't drink. If you're planning to drink beer at a sporting event or another occasion, here are a few tips to follow. 1 serving of beer is 12 ounces. Choose light beers. Pace yourself. It's just, I don't even, I think that's the end of the article. They just stopped.
So here's my problem, Alan. They keep using the word carbs. Carbs are not the problem with beer. They're just not. It's going to be like a light beer is like 2 to 10 grams, somewhere in there. It's not carbs. The problem is the alcohol calories and the alcohol itself. I'm not worried about the carbohydrate. Not worrying me at all. I am worried about the alcohol. The alcohol that adds calories, that has no health benefit at all. Carbohydrate, I can say, okay, there's some benefits. It provides energy, glucose for the brain. All alcohol does is poison you. And are they serious about 12 beers a week? That's a fucking 12 pack.
Yeah.
That's a lot of beer.
It's a completely like next level. I say it often on my channel, but I just can't, as somebody who was in healthcare and has seen the other side, there is no indication to me at all that our healthcare industry, the ADA, are accrediting agencies, like the American Heart Association. They have said some crazy shit, like literally crazy shit. And I just find it that it's very telling when you look at who funds these people. I'm going to see if I can pull up the picture here real quick. Because who funds the American Diabetes Association is like Stevia, companies like that, here we go. I'm gonna pull this up.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, I look at, and I'm okay with them accepting money, but you can tell because the AHA, the Heart Association, has had some decent advice. The one they had on the new findings on sleep and the recommendation, I think, was good. But you can kind of tell where they're afraid to kowtow because they need the money. It's like advertising. Everybody thinks, the media is blah, blah, blah. And no. The media doesn't shit on Pfizer because Pfizer pays 75% of their ad revenue.
Right.
It's all money.
It's all money. Like when it comes to these organizations, it's all money. I'm a big believer, like if something has American Heart Association connected to it, if we're going to put, like, all that money should come from like our funds. It shouldn't come from corporations because then corporations have say. Like Weight Watchers shouldn't be just helping fund the American Diabetes Association. Splenda, same. Now don't get me wrong. I have nothing against Splenda. When taken in moderation, I think it's better than processed sugar. It's still a processed item, and I keep it down. I keep it down to a minimum, but I prefer it than processed sugar. But Sun Life Financial, like the healthier things, a lot of these companies already, like Vision Care. Vision Care is because a lot of diabetics get retinal neuropathy.
Yeah.
So I just wish that we would be able to fund these things free of outside influence. For instance, the CDC takes money from Pfizer. It's literally on their website.
A lot of it. I bet you it's most of their money. So they're getting directly paid to approve to recommend things outside of their purview.
Yeah, I completely agree, 100%. It's this weird thing where we've normalized so much unhealthy stuff that. I also find it kind of crazy because people like you and I are viewed I have been called unhealthy more times now than when I was super fat, dude. I don't even understand. I'm 52 years old. I can fucking go. I have a deep ass gas tank. My resting heart rate's in the mid 40s. All my blood work is fucking phenomenal. I'm having more done in December. I just don't understand how we've gotten to a stage where people will look full face at people like you and I and be like, well, you're not healthy either. First of all, me not being healthy is completely a secondary point to these fat as fuck people not like watching out for themselves. Like if I'm unhealthy, then you're unhealthy. Like we can be unhealthy together. I'll work on my shit. Will you work on your shit?
It doesn't
You know
make
what I mean?
what you say any more or less factual. Like if a
No.
fat person says being fat is unhealthy, if it's a true statement, can be backed by data and fact, yes, that is correct. So regardless of our position in life or what we do, but it's crazy because our appearance, it's weird because I get shit. I'm really not that big, but I'm really vascular. I have a lot of veins, and Alan does too. He just has a lot of tattoos. I noticed that in Cali. I'm like, you're pretty vascular. But you have a lot of you have that tribal shit going on, and you can't see it. So like people are like, you're unhealthy because you have veins. I'm like, so arterial flow is a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's genetic. Like my daughter has crazy arm veins. You know, it's like my whole family has veins. Like it's just what we're genetically. My brother, we're all vascular people. It doesn't having a lot of veins does not signal health or blood flow. It actually shows that I have very low subcutaneous body fat. And if you look at how I'm built, I have very low visceral adipose tissue as well. That actually, if you were to look at it objectively, like, well, he has blood flow, his skin tone is perfect, he has no yellowing of the eyes, you'd be like, he's probably in good shape. But instead, because they're so in their fifis, as you would say, about about any of that like shit you say about what makes them mad is that you're like, hey, being fat is not healthy. Well, you're not healthy either. Well, why not? Here's my blood work. Here's my vitals. I send Alan. I get more excited. Like very rarely am I like, dude, look at my bicep pump. I'm usually like, hey, look at my resting heart rate, bro. This is awesome.
Like you sent me your blood work. You sent me your blood work from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, we get excited about that shit. So it's really weird how when you say a fact, like, hey, being fat is not healthy, that people get so defensive that they lash out with one thing. It's like, well, you're veiny. And you look like you lift. It's like, yes. And
one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of my favorite ones is how like everybody's like, well, with the massive amount of muscle you have, blah blah blah. Like they say this to me, like I didn't work out today because I have a little bit of stomach thing going on. But this is how I normally look. Most people see me when I'm on camera right after I have like an hour and a half pump. There's a very large difference. Like I can wear a normal size large shirt normally and look like just a dude. You know what I mean? Like I can look like just a guy, like you're a little wider than that and thicker than that. Like Mark is from front to back. Mark is one of the thickest people I've ever met, but the legs, dude, Jesus Christ. But the legs are just fucking crazy. But I just I don't understand how like two people that work out almost for a living hours a day, where that argument comes from. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't bother me because I know I'm healthy compared to what I used to be, especially. I know I'm healthy, I just think that we've reached such a stage in society where like we have dummied down obesity, diabetes, heart disease. Like people just get put on statins like it's crazy. Like, don't get me wrong. The data about statins is, 50-50. It's awesome. 50-50. It's useless.
Yeah.
But to immediately go towards it is crazy. Like the healthcare industry doesn't do lifestyle mitigation, nothing. And I just find that to be crazy, but especially about diabetes. I really think that they want the population to be diabetic. Like they want it,
Yeah, I agree. With statins, we do have data that they do decrease your morbidity risk. So that's why a lot of doctors just give it and it's cheap. I know it adds up to billions of dollars in revenue, but it's generic. It's like $7 for like 10 months. It's some crazy low. So most doctors, their job is to do as little work possible and make you less likely to die. That's all they're trying to do. So my doctor, who I love, great doctor, every dude over 40 who comes in, no matter what their blood work, he's going to be like, have you thought of taking statins? Not because he's getting paid from it, because you can actually look up, there was a Sun Act. I think it's the Sun Act. You can look up if your doctor has taken money from people. Yeah. You'll have I think it's Sun Act or some shit like that. I sent to you a long time ago. And you can type in your doctor's name. It'll show it. So my doctor, I think in 2018 had lunch with a rep from Pfizer or from Moderna or some shit or some other company. But it was like, oh, he had a $20 fucking burger. Okay, good. So like, I know my doctor's not on the take. Like
Right.
he's not on the take. So you can actually research it. Sun something. It's out there. You can research if your doctor is on the take. You absolutely can. But statins are a weird scenario where doctors are they're not dealing with people who look at health like me, you, and even everybody watching this. You watching this shows that you're in the upper fucking echelon of health. So like doctors they're dealing with some fat, lazy bastards all day. You might get 1 in 100 people who give a fuck. So they're going to be like, oh, you're over 40. Here's a statin. And chances are those people are going to have shitty blood work.
I mean, the blood work thing is kind of amazing to me, and it always will be. You know, like I just think that it's. I think that like when you look at how even the USDA talks about ultra processed foods as if not a problem, ultra processed foods leads to diabetes. You know, like, and 57% of American adults, that's what they eat. Like, the Americans eat 57% ultra processed foods.
That's crazy.
Like, per day.
That is nuts.
It's a higher number for kids, dude. It's like in the 60s for kids, right? And we're wondering why these people are stupid, because it makes you dumb. Like like eating year after year that high prevalence of ultra processed foods affects cognitive behavior, affects executive function of the brain. It's fucking amazing.
Absolutely, it absolutely does. You know, my whole thing is if you've ever had like itis after like a Thanksgiving meal, you're actually eating whole foods. Like you're just eating a lot of it. Like you're eating probably as many calories every day, just more concentrated. And it's just the amount of food and being fat, it makes you dumber. Just from a blood flow perspective, if you have less blood flow to your brain, you're just not going to think as fast. You're not going to be able to operate as well. So you might be a genius fat person. You might be really good at your job. Just imagine how much better you'd be if you weren't fat. We're not saying that fat people can't do epic things. We're saying that you can do way better things. Like our whole angle with alchemy and the Holy Trinity stack is you could be anything you want if you're obese, right? You can be anything, but you can't be healthy.
Which, by the way, I just shared the link where you can get that at ambrosiacollective.com.
Yeah, there you go.
But I mean, and I think that that's the true thing. Like I talked about even a little bit about it today. This craziness that like people have in our society, like no matter what. Or yesterday I talked about it. Like I could just break it down to, even if we don't want to talk about metabolic health, just gravity and you know how much blood your heart can pump. You're not healthy. The average knee has 1 to 2 millimeters of cartilage in it, right? When you put hundreds of extra pounds on that, it's still got 1 to 2 millimeters of cartilage in it. You know, like, it's like having a rubber gasket in between something that's supposed to hold 10 pounds, but you put 50 pounds on it. That rubber gasket's going to fucking wear the fuck out, you know?
It's about overall stress. And I even noticed that, like, as you know, I was trying to bulk and I gave up on it because I didn't like where it took my vitals. My resting heart rate went to about 60, which I did not like. That's why I measure everything. I got literally 2 items of measuring stuff on my wrist. But, you know, I think that when I was even 10 pounds over what my body rests at, it changed. And I measure everything. Most people don't. It changed everything. It changed my mood. It changed my energy levels. That was only 10 pounds. Imagine if I was 100 pounds. I can't even imagine how bad I would feel. Like I was strong, but I wasn't. Like I was strong on like bench press, but like everything was kind of hurting from carrying the weight around. I can't imagine how much these fat people hurt just getting out of bed.
It's not fun. Speaking of somebody that can tell you, it's not fun. Like it's absolutely not. It is not only that, but it's just humiliating. Like, and I don't care what any fat person says. That one of the reasons why they get so visceral about like saying that they love being fat is because it is humiliating. To have to hold your breath to tie your shoes, that's humiliating. To have to take a pause to get up a flight of stairs, that's humiliating. You know, it's just, and it's a reality, you know? And I just wish that people could start seeing, I always talk about this. I'll debate you anytime. Let's do it while we're walking. You know, like let's go for a like 2 mile walk and debate. Like I'll be able to talk. You won't. And
oh my God.
You know,
that's hilarious. So let's say you have a client with diabetes and they're a lifestyle client. They're not like dieting. What would your recommendation, like your overall, like fucking pie in the sky, big picture recommendation be for how should a diabetic eat?
First things first. Let's try to get an ounce of fluid per pound of ideal body weight. Right. If you're 400 pounds, like it might have to be a little higher than that because you're more than double what you're supposed to weigh. But all the data shows 0.5 ounces to an ounce per pound of body mass is kind of like the sweet spot. So I honestly try to just tell people, if you're double what you're supposed to weigh, just get a half. But let's try to get like at least an ounce per pound of body mass, of ideal body mass, right? That's the start. Get 75% of that in before your midday. That way you're not getting up to take a piss every 2 hours at night. Morning is very, very different for everybody. But normally I suggest if you're going to eat anything first thing in the morning, steak and eggs, just steak, even chicken thigh, nothing with carbohydrates is your first meal, right? And this goes very against what the ADA would say. The ADA would tell you that, as long as you're getting whole wheat toast and as blah, blah, blah. Like my thing about it is if you're already diabetic, you want to actually engage your like insulin production as little as possible, right?
Yes.
So the longer you go without, better. Now, if you're trying to hydrate the way you're supposed to hydrate and you try to get most of it in the morning, there's a strong chance you're not even going to be hungry for breakfast.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth. And if you are on our supplements, you won't be hungry for breakfast most of the time, unless you have an inordinately high caloric output. Unless you're doing like how Mark and I work out, like more than once a day type of thing, right? But midday, try to get some veggies and some fiber, like like fibrous veggies, not starchy vegetables, just fibrous vegetables. Some cauliflower, some broccoli. Sprouts are an amazing thing, but try to get more protein, fibrous veggies, right? Cruciferous veggies, right? And then your evening meal, if you're going to have it, I would have you have, if you're going to have any carbohydrate, that would be where you would have a starchy vegetable of some kind, like a potato or a sweet potato or even some rice. Now, if you're diabetic, you should be doing yourself a favor and monitoring your blood sugar 2 hours after you eat any of this, right? So if you monitor it 2 hours after you eat any of this, you can start keeping a log and decipher which foods you're eating impact your glycemic response and blood sugar response to a much greater degree. So 2 hours after you eat anything, you want to take an assessment. First of all, how do you feel? Do you feel lethargic? Do you feel bloated? Do you feel good? What's your blood sugar at? Those sorts of things. And in relative speaking, if you're going to taste anything that has the flavor of sweet in it, that should be at the end of the day. And if you have type 2 diabetes, processed sugar and processed foods, ultra-processed foods, that should be like a holiday. And even then, very sparingly.
Yes.
Like you've eaten those enough. They interact with your blood sugar so quickly because like processed sugar and even ultra-processed flour enters your bloodstream so quickly compared to like vegetables that have fiber connected to it. And it's a big dump. That's why you get the big dopamine hit and stuff like that. So from there, make sure you're getting some stress relief every day. I would resistance train versus HIIT train for somebody that has type 2 diabetes. Mm-hmm. Resistance training builds up muscle mass, which will increase your basal metabolic rate, but also chances are, if you're a type 2 diabetic, you're having some instances of sarcopenia already. You know what I mean? Like,
and there's GLUT4 transporters, Alan. It stimulates something called your GLUT4, which helps your body, essentially in layman's terms, process carbohydrate efficiently.
Yep.
So weight training stimulates GLUT4, unlike cardiovascular training.
Right. So I would stay away from the like long, elliptical sessions or anything like that. Weight train at a moderate level with decently high volume, nothing under like 6 reps ever. Try to maybe go for like anywhere from 12 to 15 reps on all the stuff you do consistently, at least 4 days of the week. And for the 3 days a week that you don't weight train, at least go for a walk to keep your system going and stuff like that. And I'm just putting this out there. If you're already on metformin, I would highly suggest you give alchemy a try. It has been like all the data from the ingredients of it show that it could very much be not only a rival, but better for you because it doesn't have as much side effects. I'm not saying I'm not prescribing it to you. I'm not your doctor. I want to be very clear about this. But if you look at berberine, if you look at NC2, the clinical studies that have been done, the human trials that have been done, they help regulate blood sugar. They help with insulin sensitivity. Women that have PCOS are oftentimes develop type 2 diabetes. I frankly think that you should be on alchemy versus metformin if you have PCOS. Berberine has been shown to be more effective or as effective as metformin without having any side effects. So that's one of the biggest things, because side effects from all medications lead to another medication. Like that's almost
they
always
love that.
Yeah, they love it. It's a 2-for-1 deal, man. It really is. But that's how I would go about it, and that's how we go about it with many people. Now, as that's the first week's worth of homework. The second week, like if they check in and are like, I was really hungry after my morning meal, we're going to take a look at what they put on their proteins and stuff like that, or increase the size of the protein at breakfast. Most of the time, like an inordinate amount of time, people just start skipping breakfast because they're just not hungry. They're filling up on hydration, stuff like that. But I just, at the next meeting, like, because when we coach, we have weekly conference calls. At the next meeting, how did you feel? What was your blood sugars at between your meals? Okay, so your blood sugar here was, 150, and your blood sugar here was 80. What did you eat each before each of these? How did you feel when this was being taken? And like, we should try to keep it where it's, at the level where you don't need to manage it pharmaceutically, So let's focus more on those foods if we can. And just, completely cut out alcohol, completely cut out processed sugar. Like if you're a type 2 diabetic, processed sugar, ingesting processed sugar and being type 2 diabetic, and this is kind of controversial. I got Twitter flared for this, or X flared, whatever. But if you are ingesting processed sugar on a daily basis and injecting insulin or taking metformin, I don't understand how our insurance should help you pay for that. I don't understand how other people should help subsidize that, because you are very clearly spiking your insulin levels, or you're very clearly spiking your blood sugar that requires insulin, and you are basically harming yourself, and then we are subsidizing you, enabling you. And I just don't think we should be, I think we should give them 90 days to get their shit together. Look, you became type 2 diabetic, you need insulin. Here's 90 days to start getting your shit together, and the rest of that's going to come out of pocket, right? I mean, if it's a type 1 diabetic and they can't do anything about it, we should take care of these people as much as we possibly can. But the current system, Mark, it's set up where people are just going to remain type 2 diabetic. They don't even try to reverse it at all. And there's no fiduciary, there's no fiduciary reason for them to do so. Like none. They want to make the money. Elon is against Alan too. No, I didn't get Twitter flared from him. It was all the fat and believe it or not, it was mostly fat fucking conservatives who want to fucking be able to drink their beer and fucking eat their donuts and watch sports ball all the fucking time. Right.
I watch sports ball, but in my defense, I have a son who plays sports ball. So I'm all about I coach sports ball.
I have no reason to watch sports ball. My son doesn't play sports ball. My son doesn't watch sports ball. I haven't watched sports ball in a long time. I don't know how dudes will sit down and spend 6 hours of their weekend watching sports ball instead of holding their wife's hand and doing shit like that.
We've never watched a whole game. Like Preston, about midway into any quarter, he'll be like, hey, let's go outside and do something. So we've had time to sit at home. We've never actually watched a complete game. He'll get motivated to go do it himself, right?
That's awesome.
If anything, and we go to the soccer. We have one on Saturday. We're season tickets holders a soccer team, Nashville SC. But we go just because it's Nashville and it's dope. And by the time we walk in the stadium to our seats, walk around, we're at 7,000 steps a trip. So for us, it's an active friggin' experience. We love it. Nashville, you got to go out and do stuff. And if your thing is sports, that's great. But a lot of these guys, man, they live so vicariously through other men. It is. Cernovich is right about that. People just love their sports balls, bread and circuses, man. The world's falling apart, yet, I got to watch the Jets. I gotta watch my team. You're not on the team, bitch. It's not your team. What's this week? They'd be like, oh, we won this week. I'm like, bitch, you haven't played since 1984.
Yeah. It's always amazing to me, because I do have I grew up in Pittsburgh, so the Pittsburgh Steelers were literally ingrained into you. Yeah.
I've been a Steelers fan since I was a kid.
If I still watched football, I would be, but they lost me a long time. They lost me when they signed Michael Vick, to tell you the truth. When they signed Michael Vick, the Steelers lost me.
Well,
that was the last team I watched.
That was the Eagles, though.
No, the Steelers signed him for a while.
Well, I don't even remember that. That's crazy. See, I'm a bit remiss on the Michael Vick thing, because not because I like dogs fighting and dying. So this is another time, but So, like, dude, there's been NFL guys who've been implicated in murder and been able to come back
Yeah.
and play.
Yeah.
And I think he did I don't think he would have gotten jail time if he wasn't Michael Vick. And even though he's not from there, like, and again, this is disgusting. You know, I love dogs more than people. But also, as you know, with the Israel-Palestine thing, I'm nuanced on everything where I'll piss you off because people are like, take a side. I'm like, there's not always one clear winner. And let me explain.
No.
When I grew up in the inner city, it was a thing for the essays, for my Latino friends. They used to fucking fight pit bulls and Rottweilers. That was a thing. It was cultural. They weren't bad people per se, but in their culture, it was honorable for a dog to die fighting. Again, I'm not fucking saying I'm a fan of it. I'm saying that's what fucking happened. So in the South, now in the South, again, where I also lived, not as a kid, I don't know as much about it, but from people I talked to in the black community, not all black communities, in a certain black community or certain black communities, dog fighting's like a fucking thing. So it's like in India, cows are sacred, right? So we don't but we'll still like people joke around and be like, or people go to these vegan protests eating fucking chicken sandwiches. I saw that meme. Or like motherfuckers go to in front of Indians, we're eating burgers like it's nothing when they're like, yo, that cow's sacred. So for us, where animals are domesticated, yes, but they will. What's funny is they separate it because they'll have non-fighting dogs in their house and they treat them like humans, but they'll have these pit bulls who are actually literally bred for fighting as their fighting dogs. So I think it's disgusting. I do. I'm not a fight. I think we should ban all dog fighting, but I also think it shows there's a cultural disconnect with what these cultures do, from the inner city Latinos to the Southern blacks. And so I think we need to remember that we're not always in the same, you know.
I completely agree. My problem was more along the lines of how the NFL operates with felons. Okay, and here's why. I think that being a felon, if you paid your time and you get out, you should have full reign of society. Yeah, I believe that. And if the person is too dangerous, if we think the person is too dangerous, why the fuck are we letting them out? You know, like I'm a big believer in that, right? But at the time, I signed Michael Vick. I was still in healthcare, and I was trying to hire one of the probably best chefs I could possibly get for one of my independent living places. And independent livings were very rich old people pay to live a very serious, posh life. They pay like $20,000 a month for their room, their food. It had a sushi bar, a dance club. Like, I mean, these old people fucking jammed, right? And it looked like a fucking palace. And this guy was probably the best chef in Savannah, Georgia, right? And I could not get him hired because he had a felony on his record from like 25 fucking years ago. No. And since we take federal funds, we could not hire him. Now, I don't understand because the NFL takes federal funds, and they for a while at the time, especially, they were tax exempt. So how in the fuck can I not be able to hire somebody who had a felony 25 years ago, who's an amazing chef, would have done amazing things for old people? I had met this guy's family, everything like that. He was a great dude. I had to tell him no because he had a felony from 25 years ago. But Michael Vick's making $100 million or $10 million a year sitting the bench after having a felony. It's more along the lines of like the Steelers should know better than that. That and the uproar in Pittsburgh about it was fucking crazy because you know, I mean, like I get what you're saying with the different things. Do you really think that that's part of his culture, or do you think that he got rich and decided he was going to be like, well, let's do this? You know, like I've heard he like doesn't like understand, like he didn't understand what was going on. I've heard that before.
It's tough to say. I mean, all these things, like I'm not an expert on it, but he did his time, and he's a fucking great quarterback. You know, it's like the Kaepernick thing, like that thing keeps getting brought up. He's 35 years old, and other than the 1 year he made it to the Super Bowl, he's been, as Deion Sanders say, hot garbage ever since. Like he lost his job to fucking Gabbert. Like, and they're still recycling that story. And then he and then he sues the NFL. They settle with him. And now he's like, I want to play for the Jets. Get the fuck out of here. Like, you're not even a good quarterback. You're not even a good backup. Think about all these studs who come out of college who don't play after college. Like, any one of those guys is better than Kaepernick. Like, and he's like a vegan now. So his body's all fucked up. He's got a fucking dad bod. Like, he's not the guy. Like, in his prime, I'm a huge Kaepernick fan, dude. I remember watching that Super Bowl, and I was like, dude, this guy's fucking amazing. I'm like, this is the future of football. But I think what happened, I don't even think he believes what he says. I really don't. I think that he was falling, and he comes from the best white family ever. Like, he's actually been raised as a white kid. He never he was I understand he was adopted, probably went through some shit, but he won the fucking lottery. That guy got raised by the richest, whitest people ever. And then he's like, and he's a smart dude. Like, he's not stupid. He's like, okay, so I ain't going to make money as a fucking marquee quarterback. And he's like, fuck it, I'm taking a knee. He's like, I'm going racism on this. When you lose your job to Gabbert, you got to do something to compensate for that.
I would agree, but I think that that was kind of the start of the virtue signaling thing too. You know,
yes.
But and if he's got a dad bod from being vegan, he should just go and eat watermelon for a month. It'll get him shredded.
Oh man, more Cali muscle. Like I like my favorite thing about Cali. Hold on. My favorite thing is he looks terrible, and he still says he looks better than like me and Chris. Which is amazing because last I checked, Cali did compete and tried to get a pro card and couldn't win one. Last time I checked, I got one right over there. So, say hi to Cammie.
Hey, Cammie.
She's actually home. It's fall break here. We couldn't do anything because the soccer playoffs. So I'm just, I find Cali is like the greatest human psychology fucking study I've ever seen, because I've never seen someone he's going for clicks, he's absolutely out of his mind, or a little bit of each. But like, I mean, it's so sad that social media has ruined him, not just as a social media star, because he was a star. We can't deny he was a star.
No, he was.
But as a person, as a human being, and it's also ruined his heart. Like, he will not live a full life. His heart, once you go through Widowmaker, how many years are taken off your life from Widowmaker?
Oh, he'll be lucky if he makes it 5-10 more years. Like, super lucky.
Is that how it is? I don't know. Which is sad, because as you've seen, I used to do collaborations with Kali. I used to love the guy. What an infectious personality. Like, he walks in a room, it lights up. But then what happens is you get too big for your britches. What happens is you get all these people start telling you how awesome you are. And then you feel like you get this God complex. And then you feel you're invincible. And then you get this reaction because you're big, so you want to get bigger. You start taking more drugs. You start taking more insulin. You start taking more GH. You start doing all this shit. Next thing you know, it's out of your control, and you're spiraling downhill. And then you're not getting the views you used to get because you're in your 40s now, not in your 30s, and kids don't want to watch. So then you're doing more and more shock things like mukbang. The guy was doing mukbang.
Yeah.
And it's okay, there you go.
But protein powder is why he had a heart attack, bro.
I mean, the guy was doing mukbangs and crazy mukbangs too, like that one avocado dude. Like, he was doing crazy mukbangs. Like, I'm talking, and then he was faking heart attacks in them. Remember that? Where he go convulsing.
So ridiculous. And then he has a heart attack.
It's kind of poetic and sad at the same time. Like, I don't wish death upon anyone, but like, I think all of us saw this train wreck coming, from the copious amounts of steroids to the abuse of food to the just outlandish shit and skits he would do online. You're watching him like you're watching a NASCAR race if you're just waiting for the crash.
I tell you, when I lost, I like, because here's my thing. I don't need to like somebody to respect somebody. I'm one of those people. Like, I don't need to like you to respect you. I can respect people's game. Like, I respect Greg Doucette's drive. I don't necessarily like him as a person, but I respect his drive and what he's built, right? And I respected Cali right up until the point where I saw him pull the knife on the dude. Like, because, like, you're a bitch. Like you're a bitch. Like, if you are half the tough guy you claim to be, why are you pulling a knife on this dude who literally just, like, it was basically like accidentally stepped on his shoes, like type of situation or something like that. Like, why the fuck would you do that shit? And then when he starts calling out my friends, I'm just like, all right, dude. Like,
Well, I mean, he's talking like he can
fuck?
fight. If you can fight, you don't need to pull a knife on our man.
No.
And that
I mean,
was
I'm
when
sure
he was big. He's not
Yeah, that was when
challenging
he was
anybody to
huge.
fights now. I'll gladly, if he challenged me to a boxing match, I won't even train for it. I'll be like, let's go. I'm gonna have to lose 40 pours to be in your weight
Yeah,
class.
you would shatter him. Like,
Dude,
you would
one
absolutely
punch,
shatter him.
I'd punch him in his chest.
That's
Did I say that?
awesome and savage at the same time.
Dude, which is honestly where you want to get punched in boxing. It normally doesn't hurt. Meaning I do not want to hurt him at all, right? No, I mean the guy is just like, I hate this horrible use of words, but like he completely dug his own grave. He literally, and it's what I think he is the case study of what could happen when you let social media drive you, when you become social media, when you buy into your own hype.
So a lot of our counterparts in the fitness, YouTube fitness, especially realm, have done that. I think we're reaching like a new. There we are. Okay, I just blacked out. But I think we're reaching a new era of it, though. I think that there's going to be those that are still like, take my 3 body type quiz, blah 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 bullshit, like V-shreds. I think that they're always going to be around, but there's a lot more people that are starting to be like, okay, let's get back to the basics here about shit. I'm starting to see a very positive influence. It's a matter of whether YouTube and other social medias will allow that stuff to go. Like, you're back to doing like workout tutorial videos and stuff and I really think that that's been something that's been missing, right?
Yes.
Because while it may not get the most views, I think that it had gotten too much to the point where people wanted to see the drama. Like, not knocking on so many people, but when every thumbnail is you with your mouth gaping open, like trying to act all shocked, like I tried the rock diet, and then your mouth is all like, when you're doing that, like if that's every one of your thumbnails, I'm just gonna say you're not about fitness anymore. You're about views, and that's cool. Like, for real, I like everybody do their thing, right? But at the same time, like, don't think you get a seat at my table. You know what I mean? Like, because that to me is just disingenuous shit, and we're trying to help people and entertain people. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want to entertain people, but I think that a lot of our counterparts, especially in 2020, because in 2020 they weren't actually able. Since 2020, they weren't actually able to say what I think most of them knew and wanted to. Most of them just they could have, they just chose not to. Right?
We did.
We did.
Hell yeah.
And I think ever since then, they have been struggling to stay in the algorithm, because my biggest piece of advice to all the fitness people, you're going to have to take a side at some point in time, because they're trying to exterminate the fitness industry. Like, the first thing to do is close gyms, motherfuckers. That basically puts you out of business for a great degree for a lot of people. Unless you're like me and Mark and you were able to shift to at-home workouts, band workouts, TRX workouts, stuff like that, or you have a home gym, that shit puts you out of business. Like, it just really does. It not only that, but it puts all the people that watch you out of business, And like, how many times, like, we're racist, toxically masculine. I got my traditionally masculine shirt on, but I think that they're trying to basically wipe out the fitness industry, so to speak. And I think a lot of times people like Callie help them, because it just looks so outlandish. The dude's eating like a watermelon a day. Like, if he ate 10 pounds of watermelon a day, that's 30 grams of protein. 10 pounds of watermelon. 10 pounds. That's an enormous amount of watermelon. That is 30 grams of protein. So it's easy for him to say, just eat a watermelon a day, or only eat watermelon for a month, because you had like 80 extra pounds of lean mass that you could lose and still and not be bad. I do think he has fucking gone the other way. Like, I easily outweigh him, and I never thought that would happen. Like,
no, he was huge, dude. I told you when I did that video in 2016 with him in Vegas, bro, he was at least 260, and we took that picture together, and I think I had a better physique, but dude, he dwarfed me. Like, I looked small compared to that guy, and that was when I was like 230, 230. Big dude.
But I mean, and so he had basically like 80 pounds of lean mass to lose, and he's done so.
He has.
Do you think, just as a thing, do you think they're like the biceps are still huge? Do you think there were spot injections going on there? Is that how that works?
Man, he took so much stuff. I mean, every video, I said this in my video yesterday, every video he does, he adds something. He's like, yeah, I was on, at first it was like, I was just taking a little bit of testosterone. Then it went to insulin. Then it went to tren. Then it went to this and that, the third. It's like, who knows what he took?
Yeah.
Like he took so much, but biceps will, your arms, if you have big arms, like his arms are so big though, but his body has shrunk so fast. I think that his arms just, they're going to be the last to go because they were so fucking big.
Yeah, I mean, enormous. Like, although I'm pretty shocked that like I actually have bigger triceps than him. Like, I'm going to roll in that as much as possible. That I'm bigger than Cali Muscle now. Like, I'm just gonna that you can't take that from me now. So like,
well, that's like when Lionel Messi played Nashville, we went to the game. I told my brother, dude, that's like watching Michael Jordan. He's like, nah, that's like watching Michael Jordan on the Wizards.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, that's a good compare. You got it. And yeah, I mean, he's a shadow of himself, man. It's a shame. And I hope oh yeah, go ahead.
This person says, will you come out with a bundle for just Nomo and Alchemy? Right here. I just shared the link right now.
Well, I think they want saying without Ember. And the answer is the best way to do that is just to buy both of them separately if you don't want Ember.
There's a... Dude, the Ambrosia has a stack with it's an AM/PM stack with no more. Oh, that's no morbidity and Ember. Shit.
Yeah, I would actually. What you want to do if you want a good deal on it, just go to tigerfitness.com on Friday. We have our Halloween sale.
Oh, that's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be nice. So it's Halloween sale. Tigerfitness.com. Friday, you get that free shirt. We're doing it Friday, so you get your shirt so you can wear it on Halloween. Thinking ahead.
Yeah, so here, by the way, here's the link for Tiger Fitness to buy No Morbidity, and that'll allow you to then pick up Ember with that too. Or, I mean, Alchemy with that too.
I'll get with the team on getting the Holy Trinity up. Yeah, we could probably do that. So he's asked this like 4 times. So okay. From Lawrence, he's been tired as fuck lately, worked out 4 times a week, eat 90% clean. The problem is, Lawrence, we don't have enough information. The number one thing I'm thinking is you're probably not sleeping enough.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the number one, not knowing more, but you're probably not sleeping enough. Try to get enough sleep. Try to go to bed. Try to get up, get sunlight in the morning. Make sure you get outside, get like 10 minutes of sunlight. Again, like there are so many factors. Also, your diet's 90% clean. That tells me nothing. Like you could be eating 200 calories. I don't know.
Yeah. Not only that, but you know, how much hydration you get. And there's a lot of factors that are involved in it, especially fatigue, you know?
Unfortunately, we don't have enough information to answer it. But yeah, I mean, you know, look at sleep. No. We have that. They just don't sell enough to make a run. I mean, it's bought by like 10 white girls and that's it. I mean, the pumpkin pie outright bar. Every year I have to. So both years we've done pumpkin pie outright bars. I've had to basically give away or throw away more than I made from it. So I lost money every time I ran it. Yeah. Just so you know about bars, I have basically 3 months to sell them or I have to get rid of them.
And that's it's such a complicated thing. Like, I don't think that people watch understand the outright bar is, I don't know, like Mark runs basically like 6 businesses. I don't know how the fuck you keep it straight, dude. I'm always amazed at you. I'm always amazed. But the outright bar is even more intricate because there's shelf life on the product. So you have to stay in plenty of stock, try to sell as much as you can, but not have too much because then you have to get it back. And you're in like tons of different stores now.
Well, I was out of cookies and cream for about 3 weeks because we got one order that wiped us out like fucking 8 weeks in advance because we're opening all these new accounts. And then people are like, oh, I'm like, dude, I'm doing my best. Like we ran out of wrappers. It literally fucked us up. So let's end on this one. And then, cause I gotta get some shit. So here's the problem. You're getting 5 hours of sleep, dude. You're about halfway there. Raise that shit to 7 and I guarantee you'll feel amazing. You're going to feel so much better. You have to find a way. And if you can't, find a time to take at least like a 30-minute I like naps. If you can't get it in, find a time during the day instead of like, if you have a break at work, go in your car and take a nap.
I completely
go in
agree.
your car and take
100%.
a nap. Just prioritize sleep. Anyway, I think, all right, I'm going to jump on something right now. Guys, appreciate it. Alan, you're on top.
Yeah, I'm out too. Thank you, sir. Always good. And then we'll be back sometime next week, if not later on this week. We'll see.
Yes.
So, dude, have a great day. I'll text you later.
All right, peace out.
Peace out.